Good evening. Welcome to the West Jordan Plan Commission meeting for December 15th, 2015. We do have all 7 members of the commission present tonight. Jumping straight into our agenda, we have one item on our consent calendar, which is the minutes from our last meeting on December 1st. Commissioner Jacob.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Jacob, second by Commissioner Sikoski. Any discussion of the motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Excuse me. Easy for you to say.
We have one item on our public hearing calendar tonight, which is the West Point Studios, considering a conditional use permit for personal instruction services in the M1 zone. Donna Klinger is the applicant. The time is now yours.
So I just wanted to say that address the parking issues. We have a drop-off and a pickup area, so it shouldn't really even be too big of an issue, any parking. So, and we've done that for a long time, so we know what we're doing. Any questions or comments?
Questions for the applicant?
Oh, well, that's all I have to say is we don't anticipate any parking issues. So.
Okay. Commissioner O'Heiner has a question for you.
Yes.
When you say a drop-off and pickup, whereabouts is that going to be?
It would be right in front of our lobby on the sidewalk, the pedestrian sidewalk, right in front of our door. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right there.
Traffic coming in will come in, turn around, and come out that way, and the pickup, they'll stop.
Well, I was thinking actually to take that first parking spot maybe and have a pull-in area so that they could drop off their child in the first parking spot. What do you want me to do? Is this a laser? Okay.
Careful, you'll blind yourself.
Just don't put it in an airplane.
Okay, so there's some parking right here that I was thinking that we could designate 1 or 2 parking spots for like an actual drop-off where they would pull in and drop off their child and then pull out, and it's right there by the sidewalk, so they wouldn't cross traffic.
So they would not have to cross traffic. They'd come in and turn around and stop, and they would come out, and they would be.
Yeah.
So that traffic's not going to.
No, it shouldn't be. If they pull in like this and pull right in, they could pull right out. Or if it's blocked, they could go all the way over, turn around, and then go in and pull in. Or if these areas are full, I mean, the parents still can park here and walk their child across.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Green?
I just want to know how a dance studio is going to work next to a cross. Never mind.
Yeah.
I was more worried about the donuts.
Yeah, it smells really good.
It's going to be hard to be healthy, isn't it?
Yeah, we're going to send the kids over to get donuts a lot, I'm sure.
Commissioner Pat?
Well, thank you. Wondering if there's any other protective measures for just to ensure that parents are dropping off and kids are getting out the right way. Would there be anyone from the studio out there helping direct traffic or to receive?
If there's an issue, we would have that. It would mostly be probably for the younger children, so like our 5 to 7-year-olds. If that's an issue, we would have one of our parents stand out there and be the volunteer and watch the kids come in and out.
Great.
But and probably some signage, maybe like a caution and whatnot.
Great, thank
Yeah.
you. Safety first.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, this one's yours, right?
Thank you. Members of the Planning Commission, Mr. Chairman, this is a request for a conditional use to operate a dance studio in the M1 or manufacturing district. I think the reason that this conditional use in that zoning district is just to make sure there's no safety concerns with typically a heavier manufacturing district with large trucks and chemical stores, things like that. But in this case, given that the next door neighbors across the studio really nothing around it that would, in our view, would pose any safety concerns. We think that it's a good fit for the area. They do meet parking requirements in terms of number. Just a thought here, they've got a couple of spaces here that probably be used really well as a drop-off pickup area. Plus, they've got some extra room on both sides of those vehicles, so that might work for a drop-off and pickup area. Our recommendations for approval, like I say, we just don't see any concerns with it. Just subject to those conditions that are listed in your staff report.
Any questions for staff? Quiet bunch tonight.
I'll ask.
Mr. Green, go for it.
So under criteria 3, page 3 of the staff report, we've got the square footage that totals 4846 with the studio area, the office. How tight are we on that? Is there have to be a drawing submitted, anything like that?
No. We've got, the applicant actually went and did the measurements, the physical measurements on the interior space, and then we just calculate that based on the number of parking stalls required for each of those uses that are within the building, and then we just physically count the number of stalls that are on the site, just make sure there's enough. In this case, there's, I think there's 22 available stalls based on what was granted approval for the adjoining use. So there are 2 stalls over their requirement.
Yeah, the only reason I asked is I was just wondering if there had to be any, I was going to say conditions to the conditional use, but there really isn't, is there?
No. No, there doesn't have to be any.
Okay.
This was noticed as a public hearing, so we'll now open this meeting up to the public. If there's anybody who would like to comment on this item, we'd invite you up to the podium if you would kindly give us your name and contact information for the public record, and you would have 3 minutes to make your comments. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Jacob.
Chairman, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I would move that we approve the conditional use permit for the West Point Fitness Studio with the 1 condition listed in the staff report.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jacob, second by Commissioner Quinn. Any discussion to the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And that concludes our agenda for this evening, unless there is anything else we would like to or need to discuss tonight.
Well,
It's been a blast.
I was going to say this is Commissioner Jacobs' final meeting with us.
Well, yeah, and I don't want it to end early, so I was going to actually bring up something to discuss.
Oh, great.
Looks like we have a couple items coming back from City Council. If I read the last...
Yes, we have a re-review of the view at 5600 West. The City Council has requested or remanded that specific item back to the Commission to take a more in-depth look at the density buy-ups. And so staff and the applicant have been working together to enhance the staff report and really drill down and explain why certain percentages were allocated for each of those buy-ups. And so that was requested again by the City Council, and the Commission, as you are aware of, has the approval authority, but the Council needs to ratify the Planning Commission's decision. And so that's why they're asking the Commission to take another look at those density buy-ups and perhaps explain in more detail why the Commission is recommending a certain density. So, and then what was the other item?
The mural.
Oh, the murals, correct. So that again was, the council has a greater authority, and ultimately they approve those text amendments. They certainly could have, at their discretion, made amendments or changes to that text amendment at the previous City Council meeting, but instead of doing that, they felt that the Planning Commission would have perhaps greater perspective or an increased perspective on how to potentially draft those text amendments. And there were a number of different city ordinances referenced at the city council meeting that we could look at, City of Portland, City of Salt Lake. And so our staff is going to be looking at those as options to possibly use in our text amendment, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So yes, that will be coming back.
All right. What's up, guys? Commissioner Green.
On the views one, the 5600 West, whatever the heck that one was, I was at that meeting, and I think that the biggest concerns were the buy-up based on the fact that there was a pool and the lazy river. There were a couple of things that the council had concerns that looked like they were being counted twice, or you were there as well. I think that, and Billy, you were there as well. I think it seems to me that was the biggest concern, was a potential of counting things multiple times for a buyout. I think they just wanted us to take a really strict look at that and see what the real buy-up ought to be.
That begs the question, if that, in order to get the points, if they had one pool, or if they had two pools, they get twice as many points, or do they just get those points for one pool? Is that?
We don't want to penalize them for putting more than one item. In big projects like the 5600 West, you'll be seeing another large apartment complex come in on the west side of the Mountain View corridor, Addenbrook, that's in the Highlands as well. When you're dealing with 500 plus units, you don't want to just put one little amenity pocket in one corner and then leave the rest of the development out. And so that's something that we are going to be looking at and addressing. We've had multiple meetings with the applicant, and what we don't want to have happen is for them to say, okay, well, if you're only going to give us points for a playground, instead of doing 2 or 3, we're only going to do 1, and it leads to in our opinion, a poor design for that many units. So I think the council's concern was you've got a pool, and then attached to the pool you have another, maybe an extension of the pool, which would be the lazy river, and so I can see where they're coming from. From the developer's point of view, that's an enhancement, that's an add-on that they should be credited for. I'll let them make that argument, but those are just some of the things that we want to clarify as we move forward.
It seems like they made that argument when we saw it.
Yeah, because if
Also,
you
and that
look
was
at
one of the reasons I think that I felt like because they seem like two different amenities.
and if that's the decision of the commission, we'll have to articulate that, and we'll include that in the report and in the minutes. And so when it goes back to the city council, we'll have a more detailed log as to how we got to those specific numbers. And I think that's what they're asking for. Just give us some more background as to how you arrived at this certain point.
I noticed on that council agenda that there wasn't, the minutes from the planning commission discussion was not attached to. Now, obviously, council members can go look up the minutes, right? But they weren't attached as a appendix or anything else to the city council agenda. So we might want to do that.
Yeah, typically they are.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
usually they are. That's right. I remember noticing that because I wanted to look at my comments because I didn't like the project. I voted against it, and I wanted to look at my comments, and they weren't there. At least on the online attachment. You know what I mean? I don't know what the council members get in the mail yet, but they may get that in the mail in a hard copy, but it definitely wasn't online as far as the.
It should be one and the same.
They don't get a hard copy for one thing.
Oh, well, that's good.
But
So anyway.
I do appreciate that
2
they
cents.
remembered us and were willing to recycle it back and let us address some of those concerns. So
What I was going to say is I think Scott's spot on. What they're looking for is And I think it's what we probably, the staff will do, and I think as we go back through it, what they really want is a detail and say, we looked at the 3 playgrounds and here's why. We looked at the pool and the lazy river and all those different things and why. I think their overall, it was their impression was that it just wasn't as detailed on where we came up with the numbers that they would like. And I think if we come up with some detailed fact finding on that, I think we're going to be fine.
All right, well, thanks for the quick update on that. I just read that in the minutes the other night. Anybody have anything else?
One other thing, we noticed there's a whole bunch of young people out here. Thanks for coming tonight. It's probably a school project, wasn't it? Well, it's nice that you were forced to be part of the community, and hope you get involved in the community.
Good night.
Yeah, you picked a good night to be here. You didn't have to stay all night long.
It's quick.
Thanks for coming.
And again, it's been fun. The new council will have 3 former planning commissioners on it, so
Well, the new commission will have a former council member on it, so.
touche.
All right, then, do we get to, you're just gonna take your name here to save the city a little bit of money and sleep out in there?
It's not Michael.
Oh, okay. All right, well, motion to adjourn?
All move.
Thank you, Merry Christmas, you guys.
Motion by Commissioner Back, anybody object to that?
Negative.
We stand adjourned until December 5th, 2016.